topic. This is a much needed discussion that needs to be had. Given the current political climate, we have a new president. It looks like there's going to be a new energy around education. Um, so hopefully, the topic of special education is at the forefront of that we actually having these discussions. You know, it's a struggle. Every day we have these students who their magic is not realized, and they have to survive in an environment in which they're not being recognized. So they need a voice, and this is where we get that information to help radiate their voice so they can be heard. All right. So I'm going to be in the background. I hope everyone enjoys the presentation. Ask a lot of questions. I'm going to be back and forth. I'll be asking questions, and have a great time.
Thank you.
Great. Thank you, President Devone. And so, ladies, my name is Matt Stevens. I am the chairman of the mentoring committee for the I.D.E.A chapter of the Omega Psy Phi fraternity. We're located in East Orange, New Jersey, but with this COVID situation, we are operating just nationwide, hopefully so even globally at some point in time, to offer whatever resources that we can offer for parents, specifically for parents raising boys. We're doing a number of great mentoring programs. And the reason that we do these parent resource sessions is because we want to connect the mothers and fathers in a way that enhances our program and helps us to help themselves. So tonight, a good friend from a long time ago actually called me. She saw some of the work that we were doing in the community, and she says, Matt, you need to have a workshop working with parents explaining this IEP process. And we've known each other for a long time. And this sister is, as if you looked up, get straight to the point in the dictionary, her picture would be there. She's no nonsense. She's very caring, as well as community minded. She's from, I don't know if she's from Newark, but I know she is about Newark. And she is the best of what Newark has to offer. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to introduce to you, so we can kind of get this started, my good friend, Love Gaillard.
Oh, thank you so much, Matt. What a nice introduction. I don't even know what to say after that, Matt. So welcome, everyone. I am honored to be here with Matt, my brother for many years, a member of Omega Psy Phi fraternity. I'm a member of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated, and I want to acknowledge that my bachelor's is here. So Amanda is here. I saw her name, Amanda Blake. Thank you for chiming in. Sorry, Keon Peters, they're here to support as well. I'm so thankful that my sorority and my group is behind me supporting. So thankful for all of you parents. My colleague Yolanda Green, thank you so much for supporting and coming through. You know, I'm just overwhelmed with gratitude always for my community supporting me. So man, I'm from Brooklyn. My family moved to Newark, and I spent all my years in Newark, Peshine Avenue School to Science High School and to the HBCU St. Augustine's University in Raleigh, North Carolina, and on to Rutgers here. So I had quite the journey all around Jersey and everything. So I'm going to start the slideshow because it's going to go into introducing you all, because this will be an interactive program. It's not going to be a webinar where you're just sitting listening to me talk, because I think that's kind of boring, and I'd like to hear from you. We learn best when we talk to each other. So give me a moment while I share my screen. We know we're here for an IEP resource session led by me. I'm a child study team social worker K through 12, and I also teach social emotional learning at various institutions. So welcome you all. This part is not about me, it's about you. So we're going to get a couple of shares. We don't have a whole lot of time, but if we get at least 5 families or 5 moms or participants to share their own name. Do you have children? How old are they? Do they have an IEP? Why did you sign up, and what do you hope to gain from coming to this workshop? So if we can get any volunteers, some of you know how to raise your hand, or you can just unmute yourself. It's really casual. There's only about 20 of us here, so it's really intimate. So jump in. Who's going to be the first to introduce themselves?
Hello, good evening, everyone. My name is Letitia. I have an 11-year-old son who is in 5th grade, currently learning remotely, but about to go back to school. He has an IEP for speech. And since we're going to middle school, I'm really concerned about that transition and the loss that he might have had while learning from home. And I was just actually having an issue trying to get him a psychoeducational eval. So just want to know everything I can about the process.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing. When we get to that area, feel free to ask questions, raise your hand or jump in, say, excuse me, because we're going to touch on that part, and you can ask more questions in that area because I'd like to know why you're trying, why it hasn't happened already. Okay. Next person. Thank you.
Hello, good evening. My name is Tony. I was invited to this platform through Chinu Subakarvi Mentoring Program for Young Men. My son is a part of the program, so is Miss Lowry. My son is Jalen. He's in 9th grade. I'm a single mom. He does not have an IEP, but I'm always looking for ways to best support him. So I just thought, why not? Information is good information, and I can also use it and share it.
Absolutely. Thank you for chiming in. And we help our neighbors, right? So you'll get this information, and next thing you know, one of your mom friends will be talking about it. You say, I went to this workshop called Matt Stevens. There's this lady named Love, and that's how it goes. So I'm so glad you came here for yourself and for the community. Next person, thank you. That was 2. Matt, I will unshare and start. I will look at people's faces.
Hi, good evening. My name is Ayana Hines Marshall. My son's name is Jared. He has an IEP. He has a processing disorder, but they labeled it as a learning disability since there's no category for that. And I'm also a special education teacher, so I do IEPs as well.
Awesome. Thank you for coming. What do you hope to gain? Ayana, what do you hope to gain?
Just some additional resources that I may not be familiar with from working with the DOE, and also to see how I can use this information to not only help my own son, but the students that I have in my classroom.
Awesome. So you're a special education teacher.
Yes, I teach a self-contained special education class.
Awesome. And what city or state?
In Brooklyn.
All right. Thank you so much. If my family's from Brooklyn, they would not let me say I'm from Jersey. I'm from Jersey. They'll say, no, you're from Brooklyn. So yeah, Brooklyn strong. Thank you. Next person.
I'll go. Can you hear me?
I can. Yes, we can.
Okay, thank you. So my name is Brandy. I have a 10-year-old son by the name of James. He has an IEP currently for an emotional dysregulation disorder. And I am here because right now we are dealing with him not getting the correct services based on what is currently stated on his IEP. And I need to know what my rights are and what I can do, because the school is not very helpful.
Okay. We got you covered. That's a challenge.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you for chiming in. All right, one more person before someone's on echo. Is that me on echo? Then I think everyone needs to be muted, because that's when too many people are on at one time. Did that worked out? Okay, can we have one more person?
Hi.
Hi.
Can you hear me?
Yes, Makai.
Okay, that's my son. I didn't know if he was going to be on or both of us. I'm Tanya. I am down here in Maryland, the DMV area, and I was really excited to get on this program to gather all the information that I can. I'm a substitute teacher in Montgomery County. Since the Zooming has started, my son is 8 years old, and he has his IEP meeting coming up tomorrow, and I'm meeting with a resource teacher who is new, 2nd grade, and just trying to get prepared. And she said they go by codings. So his code is going to change from one number because he's 8 years old, the code changes, which I wasn't aware of as they get older. So
I'm not aware of that either, but we'll talk.
yeah, I'm supposed to be giving me two things, ADHD.
Oh, it gets wild out there in the way that people interpret IEPs. I'm sorry. You went mute. Miss Hughes, you're on mute. Am I on mute?
No, you're good.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, Miss, yeah, you were just talking. Yeah.
We'll see. I got a lot going on. And then they're getting ready to go back into school. And I'm not having him go back. I'm not going back because I'm still waiting out until we at least see our doctors about the vaccine. So yeah, it's a lot going on.
Yeah, and that code thing, we'll probably hear more about that when we get in that area, because I think I know what they're talking about. But we as the clinicians, we can do much better at explaining the process. That's why I do these type of workshops outside of work. And in my job, at my job, I always do evening workshops and informationals quarterly for my parents, because we don't do the best job at explaining to the parent what we do, because we have a whole nother language. It's like speaking Greek. And so we have to, to say a code. No, it's not a code. It's probably a disabling condition that needs to shift. Or is he doing a reevaluation? What's really going on? But we'll get there. I have all type of questions. We may have to talk offline. It doesn't sound right. Okay, so thank you so much, everyone. And so we already told you my name is Love. My father did name me Love. It's not just my my handle name, Love Marilyn Gaillard. I've been with the Newark Public Schools for 15 years. Professionally, I've been working with children and families since about 20 years. I have a 10-year-old daughter who's a typical learner, if you would say. However, my skills working with the children and with IEPs from pre-K through 12th grade have helped me with her developmental skills all the way through. I'm still monitoring her as if I'm monitoring a new student for a social assessment or an IEP. At every stage, I'm like, are you hitting benchmarks? And I'm able to help guide her through. So it's been beneficial for my family. Right now, I'm working at a school called Newark Vocational High School, which is 9 through 12, CTE, a career and technology high school, but I have worked all the way from pre-K. So I have all this wonderful experience with all type of disabling conditions and grade levels. And I just love to share that information. What I hope to gain, I'm here to bring information, but I'm here to get information too, because your stories help feed me. Your stories give me more information to share with the next group, so I'm always learning as I'm teaching. So thank you so much for your time. So what is the IEP? So the next couple of slides, I will read verbatim, because this is not something you can just gloss over. You can take a screenshot. I'm not sure how much Matt is going to share with you later on, but I do like to share my presentations because this is public information. I will give you links to all this information later. The IEP, or the Individual Education Program or Plan, they'll call it a program or a plan, depending on who you're talking to, is often called the IEP. It is a legal document under the United States law that is developed for each public or private. It was public, but I put private too. Public or private school child in the United States who needs special education. It is created through a team of the child's parent, district personnel who are knowledgeable, parent and district personnel who are knowledgeable about the child's needs. This is what the IEP is. I want to take a moment to discuss the IEP in the name, because as a parent, when you enter your meeting or you're calling and you don't know what the acronym is, you say, I'm calling about the IUP, I'm calling about the II thing. It already is offsetting to the team, because it's a lot of team members that are working very hard to educate you and bring services to the child. And when the parent has not invested in what the IEP actually is, it's like we have to start all over again every year, because the parent is sometimes not investing in how to label this. What is the IEP? What is it all about? So the first part of this presentation is to get you to buy in, to really understand what the IEP is, so that when you go to that meeting tomorrow, Ms. Hughes, you'll know exactly, I'm here for my individual education plan review. Is this an annual or a re-eval? Okay, so the first thing when you are discussing the IEP, it's an IEP, Individual Education Program or Plan. I want to show you a sample IEP so that you know what you're looking at. So when you find an IEP, they're different. Every IEP has all the same information because it is a federal document. Every IEP across this whole United States has all the same information. They just look different, and some of them are very confusing. If you're in New York, I don't know, they don't even have the school name on the top of it. I don't know what's going on in New York, but I think that the Newark Board of Education has one of the better IEPs. I say that because as a team member, we have to bring in transfers from all over the United States, and we see the different IEPs. So ours is straightforward. The first page, or first or second page, is usually just who was at the meeting. If you forget, you can see who was there. This is a sample IEP, so I'm not disclosing any child's information. And because it's a sample, the people put everything in there. So if you're having an IEP meeting, you're going to have your case manager, you have an anchor, you have a captain for your team. I'm a case manager. All of us are case managers. Sometimes we're just members. And then you have the LDTC, that's the learning consultant. What is a learning consultant? It's a graduated special education teacher. It is a special education teacher who has went on to take additional graduate credits and courses to learn how to test educationally. The occupational therapist, that's the person who works with the child with their fine and gross motor skills. Physical therapist, school psychologist, school social worker, speech and language specialist. Someone said they have a speech only IEP. When it's speech only, you'll probably just have the speech and language person and maybe a teacher. And then they have some other people there. So you're going to see who's there. That's important because you want to see who was there last year. If you're just becoming aware of your IEP, you always want to look at who's at my meeting. And you want to make sure that people who signed it were really there, you know, integrity. Then you're usually going to have a demographic page that's going to show you who your child is, all your information. And then it's going to show you what program. This is resource inclusion, where your child is in general education, getting support. Do they have an aid or no? When are they eligible? Every 3 years. This kid needs a new reevaluation. And then it's going to tell you what services they get. It's on every single IEP. If you need a sample IEP to look over, I can email you the presentation, this information later. In your IEP, we're going to do transition planning. If your child's in 7th grade, everyone, you should be having a discussion. Your child should be at the IEP meeting by 7th grade. They should be promoted, or not just encouraged to participate. So as a parent, you want to coach them and say, hey, your meeting is coming up. Do you have any questions about your education? Because you want your child to be an active member, just not someone sitting there waiting to go with maybe headphones on. No. Transition, what is that? We are every year from 7th grade, we're asking your child, what would you like to do? How can we help you do it? And then as your child talks to us, we can register them for different programs. We can refer them places, give you resources, or start gearing their classes toward their interest. And what will happen, their interest might change each year, or they'll become more enhanced. But from 7th grade, you should be involved in transition planning, 7th through 12th grade, and your child should be with you. Any questions about transition planning? That's a big piece. All right. Behavior interventions. Not every kid needs one, but some kids do, and you know who your kid is. So here is a place where the new educators can already see what's going on with your child, and there should be no surprises. So if your kid is starting a new school or a new grade, you want to talk to the educators and say, did you read their IEP? Do you know they have a behavioral plan? Because you don't want it to be November and the kid is failing, the teacher is frustrated, and no one alerted them that there was a behavior plan and how to best take care of your child. Are you all seeing how this IEP thing works? All right. You have goals. The goals are usually developed according to what your child's weaknesses are. And on and on and on. I'm not going to go over the whole IEP, but as you can see, that's the document. It never changes. It's the same across the whole United States. Any questions? I think there might be some in the chat, but you guys, I can't do both. So if you have a question, please bring it up. No questions yet? All right, going once, going twice. Okay.
Chat, so I'll bring up some questions when I find one.
Okay, thank you so much, Matt. All right. So the next part, I want you to understand, it's very important that every parent understands that the IEP is not something that came up from your school district. It is a federal document supported by, it's a federal document supported by laws, okay? The big act was the I.D.E.A. I'll just read again. The information from the IEP is based on what is required by our nation's special education law. It's law, everyone. It's not according to if they have budget this year. It is law and federal money's come through for it. So don't be fooled about the budget. Your child's needs are law. The Individual with Disabilities Act, or IDEA, or IDEA. The Individuals with Disabilities Act is a law passed in 1975, still kind of new, it wasn't forever, that makes available a free and appropriate public education to eligible children with disabilities throughout the nation and ensures special education and related services to those children. So it says public education. You have some students who are in private schools. Do they still get free services? Yes. There are county departments of education. So if your child is in an Uber private school and you think that they need some special education resources, you can contact your school district special education department. They will put you in contact with the county, and the county will come out and test your child for free. Got that? It is always free. You don't have to pay. Now, some parents may not trust their school district. They feel very nervous about the potential clinicians poking at their child, and they may want to do it privately. That's fine as well. If you get tests done privately, you can bring those tests under 1 year old to your district for them to validate it or discuss what services your child needs. Who gets the IEP? Isn't he a cute little boy? Who gets the IEP? Any child from pre-K through high school that shows signs of educational delay and or physical impairments that interfere with accessing grade level education by qualifying under one of the 14 disabling conditions. Now, at first I only put page 69, but I'm going to show you how to use the code on special education. So Ms. Hughes, you should be able to access the code on special education. This is a federal document. It will not change from New Jersey to Maryland. Here's a link. I'm going to take you to the 14 disabling conditions. That's why the code of what you said changes. It alarmed me because I know behind the scenes in our electronic reporting systems, there's a code for specific learning disability. There's a code for autism. There's a code for different impairments. And so when they say the code is about to change, are they saying the disabling condition is about to change? Because that's the only thing that can qualify your child. Can you unmute yourself, Ms. Hughes? I'd like to ask you a question.
Yes.
Does your child have an IEP already?
Yes.
You said, what is his disabling condition right now?
Speech delay, developmental delay.
Speech impairment of some sort. So he has a speech only services. Is that what's going on? Can you hear me? You're back on mute. Okay, so this is where, if you have an IEP, go get it real quick or bring it up.
Sorry, my internet connection.
Okay, so you need your IEP document. If you have it handy, you can let me know you have it if you can get it handy, because I'll be very curious to know what the disabling condition is. And I'm going to go right to my link so I can show you how to use this document. You will get the link.
Well, I can. Sorry.
Somebody has something?
Yes, ma'am. I'm from the DMV area also. My son goes to school in Charles County, not necessarily Montgomery.
Okay.
And they have mentioned something similar to that to me as well. But the way they described it is basically it's levels. And so as he progresses, or I guess meets those goals, he goes up a level. But if he does something that is, I guess, like, I don't know how to word it, but something that is the opposite of a goal, he goes back down some levels, and it just takes longer to phase out of the program.
It's okay. They may have another system, but that is separate from a disabling condition. If they want to change his whole disabling condition, they would have to do formal assessments. Now, what would prompt a team to look at the disabling condition is if those levels keep declining. Then we have to see, is it true? Is this the correct disabling condition? So I'm going to click this link and show you how to work it. So this one says New Jersey Code on Special Education, but it will be the same in every state. If you see my cursor at the top, it's 153 pages, but I want to jump to page 69. Boom. All right, it took me to page 67. Here's page 69. Are you all following me? Here you go. Classification shall be based on all assessments conducted, including assessment by the child study team members and assessment by other specialists as specified below. There's auditory impairments, there's 14. And it tells you all the qualities of that. Autism, intellectually disabled, that's a new one. That used to be cognitively disabled. That's very low with a IQ under 60. See, that one is very complicated. Communication impairment. Some of you are saying that your kids have speech issues. They could be communication impaired. And it has all the details of what communication impaired. So when you go to your IEP meeting, after you read something like this, you can bring it with you or develop your questions, which we'll get to how you handle your IEP meeting. Emotional regulation impairment. It used to be emotionally disturbed. These are new, they got fancy, so we can be, you know, politically correct when we speak about our children. Multiply disabled is when a child has more than one disability. Deaf or blindness, orthopedic impaired, other health impaired. Other health impaired, this is interesting. This is where your ADHD goes. We have those other type of neurological or not mental health, but maybe some mental health things. You have to read it for yourself. But ADHD is always in here. It's always a red flag. Other health impaired, we got ADD or ADHD is usually 9 out of 10 times the situation, but you can read it for yourself. And then you have preschool child with disability. If anyone who's had a child with an IEP from early on, a child who's between 2.5 to 5 years old, they will be considered preschool disabled because they don't want to label the child earlier. So they'll let their disability phase out or develop so that they can get a true disabling condition. Social maladjustment, specific learning disability. That's the one where people say, oh, they say he's just learning disabled. Well, you have to have a name. What is the name? So specific learning disability is when nothing else is going on. No one knows why they're having a learning disability. No one knows why they are functioning several grade levels below average, but you put them in there. So if they're functioning below average in math or reading in different areas, they will go in that area. So there's always coding. You know, once you get to know this, you kind of know the child when you hear the disabling condition because the traits are distinct. And then you have the traumatic brain injury. That's where, say, for instance, a kid got hit by a car or had an event at the hospital and had a stroke or a seizure. They have a brain injury now. And so that child is probably forgetful. They need assistance with probably navigating the building. They might need a para, an aid to help them get around the building. They need an aid to help remind them of what's the next thing to do. Is various things that come about, but a brain injury. And then the 14th. Visually impaired. There you go. Any questions about the disabling conditions? Any questions? Yes.
Gaillard, I had a question. Can you talk just really briefly the difference between an IEP versus a 504 plan?
Absolutely. Thank you for asking. So a 504 plan is usually some type of physical situation that's temporary. A 504 plan is usually developed if a child has a broken arm and needs a scribe. A 504 plan is if the child has some type of temporary disability where they can't write or function physically. Sometimes a 504 plan will be developed for a child who has ADD or ADHD if it's not severe. So 504 is usually something temporary versus a disabling condition. You have more ongoing characteristics that need care and attention.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I
Did
have
that
a
answer your
question
question?
also.
Sure.
And mine is actually to piggyback off that. My son, who is, hey, be quiet. My son is 9 in the 4th, well, no, he's 10 in the 4th grade. And they gave him a 504. They said he does not need an IEP because his ADHD is the reason why he's behind.
Mm-hmm.
But he expected that, and this was done, we had the meeting last year, the day before school shut down.
Mm-hmm.
So we haven't been able to implement it, and we have a meeting actually Thursday to implement the 504, but it's become worse. And I was pushing to get him the IEP a year before then, and they didn't evaluate him until last January.
Well, that is a hairy area because the first thing is if you got the 504, they need to implement it to see if it works or not, to see if the child needs more services. So I would be interested to know what characteristics, what services will they be putting into place? I'm so sorry that they haven't put anything in place yet because it should have been put in place immediately. But can you give us an example, maybe 2 or 3 things that they said they were going to put in place?
We had the meeting literally the day before school shut down in March.
Oh, okay.
And then I want to say like maybe in May, we had a Zoom meeting and they for 4th grade. So this was at the end of 3rd grade. And they said that they would, he would just have extra help with his homework if he needed help, but he wouldn't get any special, like on tests, he would maybe get a test read to him if he needed it. Things
And who
like
was
that.
and who was supposed to do that? Who was going to do that?
It education teacher or anything like that.
And so when he started 4th grade, no, are you saying no one mentioned his services in September?
I reached out to them back and forth. My email, something happened with my email to where my spam was blocking all the schools. So they did respond to me, but I was not getting their responses. Okay. So finally we talked over the phone in January. In December before break.
That's a long time. But hold on a second. Let me interrupt. What state or city are you calling from? It broke up. Where are you calling from?
Reynoldsburg, Ohio, but it's a suburb of Columbus.
Oh, Lord, Ohio, because I had something for you. So here's what I would recommend, because we can't do a long call. We can consult later if you like, but we have advocates. You need a free educational advocate to be with you during these calls, because when you get an advocate, all of a sudden everybody finds religion and gets you your services the next day. So you need an advocate to be with you, because just this is what I'm talking about with understanding the jargon of all the paperwork and really putting your foot down and making sure it happens. It's not easy to do. There's a lot to juggle. This is a lot of information to digest and to enforce with professionals when it's a whole team of them and it's just you, and we'll get there. But I want to make sure that you have the 14 disabling conditions. They fall under other health impaired. But in our process in New Jersey, you would have to work through the 504 plan to see if it works. But unfortunately, it's been almost a whole year and it hasn't been put in place. So that's a big problem that happens nationally. And I believe empowering parents will help decrease those situations. When we empower the parents and you go in with your law and your paperwork and your highlighted law notes, then they'll perk up when you have your paperwork highlighted and you can use their same jargon to describe your child. And that's what gets serviced quickly. They're like, who is she talking to? She must be talking to the state. Oh my God, So yeah, you take some notes at this meeting, and we're going to discuss how to approach an IEP meeting or 504 meeting in the next couple of slides. Okay. Thank you for working that out.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you for discussing that, because that's just what we need when we do these type of meetings. It's not about me talking. It's about parents discussing what's really going on, because you probably have helped other parents or other educators on this line to understand how to advocate and how to move forward or how to look at a thing. All right.
And I should have been on them more. It's just with everything's been crazy. So now
it's okay. Forgive yourself. You just get an advocate. Forgive yourself. A lot of parents also don't respond quickly because then they feel bad because they're so busy with other things, and there's a lot of guilt and shame. And before you know it, it's a year later. So let's just get advocates. When you're feeling overwhelmed, find a free advocate. All right. So I'm going to move on, Candace. Thank you. You're welcome, Candace. Thank you. Put it on mute because that baby wants to be on this call. Thank you, Candace. Okay, so who gets the IEP and how? The child gets referred by the parent, usually by a doctor, by agency or a school staff member, and the request is usually in writing. You have to write the request yourself. So here's the kicker. If they tell you, oh, your child doesn't need an IEP, it's okay, we're going to wait. They can say that, but once you write the letter and they receive it, they have to entertain your request. So a lot of us as professionals, we do put parents off and say, oh, no, not yet. But if you feel strongly, all you have to do is write that magic letter, sign it and date it and deliver it, email it or deliver it to the school. And excuse me, we have 20 days to respond to you to do something called an identification meeting. And if it's a parent like Candace will bring her neurological report, all the 504 information that wasn't done, and whatever else is going on with her son, and they'll say, okay, we'll test them. Okay, that's how it usually goes. So you can skip right over this. If you're not getting what you need, if you feel like you're being put off, write the letter. Now, if someone else writes the letter on your behalf, the parent still has to agree for the IEP to start. So there's something called an initial IEP. That's the very first one. A parent has to agree and sign. One of the custodial parents has to agree and sign. But after that first IEP, every year after that, the parent doesn't have to sign. After 15 days, the IEP will continue to go into play if the parent can't make time for the IEP meeting. Any questions about the referral process? All right. Next up is the benefits of the IEP. Modifications and accommodations. It's like a whole souffle, this part right here. No shame, all game. In the flyer, you see that Brother Matt put erasing the stigma around an IEP. I know we're all people of color, we're all Black, African American, or African, and there's a big stigma. I don't want my child to be special needs. I don't want people to say my child's retarded. You know, all the old school stuff that we say and that our families say behind the scenes. We say it, people say it, and I don't want my child labeled. I don't want my child to have this jacket on them. Well, you know what? Leave that all alone, because let me tell you, come in close, y'all. Other communities, they sue for the right for their child to have an IEP. For this part, just right here, modifications and accommodations. The number one modification accommodation that other communities sue for is extended time and grading modification. So if your child, let's say they get tested and they may be responsible for only 85% of the grade, not 100%. Or if your child's taking SAT and it's an 8-hour test, they might get 3 days to take it. Your child might be able to take the test in a small group with them and just the teacher. So yeah, people will take a lawyer and sue to get these things that many of us say, I don't want that. But the thing is, if you go to these type of workshops and you get educated, you can flex and say, yeah, give me some of that. So what are the examples? So read along with me. I'm going to read them along. I'm going to read them to you so you really can hear them and follow along. And these are only some, there's pages and pages of modifications and accommodations, strategies and methods to help your child to get the grade level content. Repeat directions quietly, have the student repeat. So that's where you get the para, the aid or something, or a teacher can have a small group just for your child and 2 or 3 others and read back and forth. Explain the directions, or I should say re-explain the directions. Provide extra time. So if there's a test that's 50 minutes, your child can get 70 minutes or 2 days or 3 days to complete. They don't have to complete at the same time with everyone else. They can complete the test on their own time. Immediate feedback. You let them know my child needs to hear something from you right away. I need you to review this work. Modify the content. What does that mean? The test has 10 questions. My child can only do about 7. There you go. Visual reminders. Review directions. That was repeat instructions. Multi-sensory approach. Now, all teachers should be doing this, but if you ever walk into some classrooms, it looks pretty flat. Some teachers are not doing multi-sensory education. And so that's a new term for you. You want to look that up, multi-sensory. So they're doing various things. When I was in the preschool setting, it looked like the classroom was moving all the time because preschool is very multisensory. Well, high school should still be multisensory. You should have the posters on the wall. You should have artwork. You should have the children's schoolwork. You should have what's currently happening in your classroom. There should be things on the floor. The desk should be decorated. All type. Now, sometimes this could be too much. Some kids are overstimulated and you would have to retract some of that. But in a general classroom, it really should be grooving when you walk in there. Modify the test, extra time on tests. So not just extra time on unit tests in the class, but district level tests, national tests, extra time. The whole thing, the SAT, I think at the college boards, they contact me, the child study team. I have to work with the guidance department to ensure that these modifications are in their system so that you can get modifications for SAT or whatever prep thing, ACT, any prep courses, the MAP test, everything gets modified when your child has an IEP. And then I said, at the end, whatever you can dream up. The IEP is a customized, individual education plan just for your child. Sometimes the IEPs look similar, but if you're very involved and you get yourself an advocate and you start learning this stuff, you can come up with whatever you want to come up with. I wish my dear friend Portia Lowry was on this call because she has 2 sons that have IEPs and she gets everything. She has a super duper souffle on a silver platter of services for her kids because she's a teacher and she knows this stuff and she puts it in writing, finds her own evidence, and her children have everything. So the other part that's no shame, all game is supplementary aids and services. And I put tangibles. These are the things that you can touch. This is the stuff that they give your child to assist them. And I put some things over here, personal aids, shared aids, assistive technology, large print materials, magnifying equipment, actual things, an extra laptop. If your child is communication impaired, if they're severe, there is different programs that they can put on not a laptop, but a tablet that's pre-programmed just for those type of programs for your child. You can, my friend, she has one at home and at school, a special one just for her kids. So assistive technology is any type of technology that your child needs. Some kids have hearing problems, and there's a special FM system that's installed in their classrooms so that that child can hear clearly. This thing is bananas what you can get. You need an interpreter. You need different type of manipulatives, noise buffers. If you need the device, the noise buffer that you put at the bottom of the what do you call it? The door or in the classroom so that you can get rid of the noise, the extra noise. My child needs one of those. And the district has to get it. So don't ever go into these IEP meetings feeling sheepish or, well, you know, the district can't afford it. They have to afford it because this is federal monies. And coming close, let me tell you something else I know. Now, I don't know about your district, but here in New Jersey, Medicaid reimburses special education departments for IEP services. Did y'all hear that? So where they cry, oh, budget, 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 knock it off, stop spending our money, because one, you get money from the district that comes from federal and the your city, you know, school money, but special education money is different. They can't claim we don't have the budget for it. They have to go find what they did with your money and get you your buffer. Go get you your extra tablet. You know,
can I speak on that? Because
yes.
I teach special education. So I know at the beginning of the school year, sometimes the occupational therapist or the speech teacher would give me a form that's for Medicaid, and the kids would have to, their parents would have to sign it, and they bring it back, and that's how they, even though they're employed with the school, but that's something that they have to have on file as well too. So
absolutely, that's a part of the process. And the thing is, we get everyone to do it in Newark because sometimes parent situations change. So where one year they may not have Medicaid, the next year they might. So it's something that we have every single parent complete. So say for instance, I don't know where, you know, Maryland, or y'all have some of those wealthy counties in Maryland, maybe nobody gets Medicaid, I don't know. But anyway, so say for instance, you're in a county where maybe only half the students get Medicaid and it's reimbursable, but it's still reimbursable money. That's additional funding coming to that department. So I just have no sympathy for any school district or any school district that might claim, oh, you know, him and Han about the budget. Has nothing to do with our money. Please get me the please get me what I'm asking for. No mercy. You hear me, parents? No mercy on a school district for your child services. Your child needs a shit. Excuse me for a second. Hold on. If your child needs a personal aid and they don't have any, well, they need to hire one quickly. Go ahead.
Two things with the personal aid for here in New York City. If you need to have a para, there's two different reasons why a child has to have a para. Either it's a health concern or a safety concern. So a parent can say, oh, well, I want my child to have a para to help them focus more. If focusing is there, if it's not a health issue where they have to help them, like maybe take they're diabetic or something like that, or a safety concern where they're physically hurting themselves or others, you cannot have a para for that. And as far as assistant technology, it's a great thing too, because I have one student in my class, he does have assistant technology, but the process to get someone to come in to evaluate whether the need that they need it or not is very tedious, right? Because sometimes they don't want to give it to them.
Yep.
And then there's a trial period. So if the child, I may think that the student in my class really needs it because they have a hard time writing. But if the person who's evaluating them, they're not going to see them every day like I'm seeing that student.
Absolutely.
They may say, oh, well, they don't need it, right? So again, it's a disservice. But
who's talking? Excuse me, is that Candace?
No, it's Ayana.
Ayana. And see, this is the thing, Ayana, let's go back to the personal aid. New York can't tell you why your kid needs a personal aid. You look at the code on special education, because say, for instance, you're the teacher and you know that the child could use an aid. Use the law, explore that part of the code on special education. And when you write your justification for needing it, you use the code and you say it's right here. And so they may still deny it. That's only the human being denying it. They're breaking the law. And I know sometimes our advocacy can get us written up, almost fired. I'm a witness here. I got written up a whole lot of times, extra advocacy. And then that's where you put it in the hands of the parent to show them how to advocate. But if they won't pick up the baton, there's nothing you can do. But I want to assure you, Ayana, that once you get into this code and you get to know it, there is nothing you can't get, because I use the code, I work the code. I don't have a problem in my district because I use the code, I work the code, I speak from the code, and we get what we need to get when we need to get.
I didn't know that, because we're constantly told, right? If not those two reasons, the child does not qualify for it. So because I've been told that, that's what the New York City Department of Education tells us. That's why I tell the parents, no, you can't have a para for that. That's not what the para's gonna use.
I would urge you to get your code on special education. The one that New York City puts out is the same. You can compare it to the one that I have, or get it from the Department of Education, the United States Department of Education, and read through what's in there for a para and see what language you can take. Because here's another thing. It could be, I haven't read the whole thing myself or know it verbatim, right? It could be written broadly, right? And so it may be left up to interpretation. That's why your district can play around with it. But you have to be equally as skilled and use those same broad terms and make it specific for what your needs are. You see what I'm saying? They're playing a game when they do that. So you have to reverse the game and become a stronger writer to justify your needs. And if once you look at it and you say, oh, I guess it's not justified, because sometimes you just got to eat crow and say, well, I guess it wasn't. But sometimes, when you get to know that part, not the whole code, because you have to know it part by part according to what your needs are. But when you get into that code, there's nothing they can deny you. They can try, but it's as far as who's going to fight all the way through. If you have a great parent who's willing to do it, the parent will take the baton and be down at the board meeting. They'll be at the county. And before you know it, the supervisor said, Ayana, what did you say that parent need? Because they're down at the county and they're telling us. It only takes one phone call from the state or county. I guarantee you, your district will be popping for that child. And then you as a professional, like, well, why don't they do this for every child? Because every child's parent didn't go down to the county. If more parents went down to the county, it would be, these conversations wouldn't be had about it's hard to get this. They told me it's that. It's because they're playing games with the law, usually. Right? They're playing games with the interpretation, because most of us don't read the law for ourselves and learn how to be technical writers, persuasive writers to get what we need. They're trying to preserve their budget. They're trying to use the money for different things. But we need what we need for our children. And as the professional, I empathize with you, because like I said, I've been written up a number of times or transferred from schools because I didn't know how to shut it up, or advocate in a more strategic way so that I was not offending the masters. So I'm much better now. I'm much smoother, and I know how to advocate without disrupting the whole system. But you have to get in it. You got to be in it to win. You got to start flexing, start exercising your use of the code and how you empower parents.
Ms. Williams has her hand up.
Okay, let me see what time it is, because we're getting close to the time. Oh, what time is it, Matt? I can't see. 7:48. We have 12 minutes. Well, we're almost done. Yes, Ms. Williams.
Earlier before you called on me, I should have took it down.
Oh, okay. All right. But was your question answered, Ms. Williams? Okay, so she said never mind. And Matt, if there's questions, jump in and bring them up for me, please. So here you are approaching your IEP meeting. All right. Don't we love this meme right here? This guy thinking, don't strain your brain, make a list. Okay. Bring your own agenda. When you approach these 504 IEP meetings, it's not about you sitting there in this big room of professionals or telling you about your child. You have your own notes. Start looking through the code on special education. Find the areas that you're interested in for your child. If you don't understand it, start asking questions. I read this in the code. What does it mean? Oh, goodness, they'll stand up tall then when they said parents start reading that code. I'm telling you, parents who know the code get treated differently from parents who do not. It is a fact. And so if you look at this meme I found here, it says, I'm not sure why Mr. Barth always needs to feel compelled to bring an advocate to the IEP meeting. So here's the joke. This is Mr. Barth. This is his advocate. These are the IEP team members. Okay. Has anyone ever been to one of those meetings and then all these people and just you? So what we find is most parents will say they feel intimidated. There's too many people there talking over my head. But the thing is, if we came to your job, we wouldn't know what you were talking about either. So we need to simplify what we're saying. We need to make sure that we're not intimidating. We need to be accommodating towards the parent. But this is usually how the meeting looks. And then this other part, this is the IEP team member. It says, one does not simply reschedule an IEP meeting. That's funny because We cannot stand when a parent reschedules. We know you might need to, we know you forget, but if we have assembled this whole team of anywhere from 4 to 10 people and you call, oh, it's 5 minutes before me. Oh, I forgot to put it on my schedule. Can't make it. Got called into work. We're like steam is coming from every orifice. You know, so it's very important that you make your IEP meeting or make it a time where you can be successful in attending, because there's a big team of people behind the meeting just for you and your child. And bring your advocate, bring a neighbor, even if it's a person who doesn't know, just bring someone for moral support to have someone with you if you know you don't understand this process. Please do it. And then the last part, know your child's IEP document. Know it like you know yourself. Know it like you know your social security number. Like I said earlier, know that it's an IEP and not an IUP or PPE. Know what it is. Know what your child's disabling condition is. Know what services your child got last year. And be able to introduce new IEP members, teachers, the substitute teacher, or whomever might be new in your child's life. Call them up and tell them who your child is. And say you might want to look at page 15. So that the person is already on high alert to what your child needs. Because honestly, if we start a new school year and there are 50 IEP students, most of the time teachers or staff members are just getting to their, their lesson plans. They're just making sure they get through each day. It takes time. It takes almost to November before we actually look through most kids' IEPs. And we're not even looking at the details. We're just looking at what disabling condition, what program they're supposed to be in, and what services, make sure I have it in place and go. But we don't usually spend time reading about your child unless you call us and make us. That's the truth. Any questions about the IEP meeting? Anything in the chat?
No, nothing in the chat.
Okay, because I said, I know one parent is going tomorrow.
Question.
Yes, come on.
Yes. How do you go about getting an advocate?
What state are you in?
Ohio.
That's the deal. They're all over the place. They're usually educational advocacy watchdog agencies. You might want to just Google educational advocacy in Ohio, because everyone has different ones.
I said I can do that.
Yes, Google it until you find someone. You might find a statewide one where we have the statewide. Oh goodness, I can't remember. It's not SNAP, it's food stamp, but we have a statewide advocacy network in New Jersey. And then we have the care management organizations in New Jersey. We have so many different organizations that will come out for free and assist you at your IEP meetings. But every state has educational watchdogs, every single state. So you Google it until you find a person, call, email, and then the whole world will open up to you. Okay?
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. SPAN, thank you, Yolanda. It was SPAN, Statewide Parent Advocacy Network. There you go. That's my team member right there. Thanks, Yolanda. Yeah. Okay, so let's go on to the next thing. Just know, bring your own notes or highlight the IEP or 504 from last year. Look at it. Stay up tonight late if you have to. Highlight things that you don't understand and make them have a 2-hour meeting when they want to do a 30-minute one. Okay? They have nowhere else to go but to serve you. So make sure you do it before lunch. All right, transition and transferring supports to a potential college. Your child's 12th grade IEP is valid for the rest of their lives. Once your child graduates with an IEP, that IEP is valid. Your child is qualifies for adult services for the rest of their lives. Be proactive when exploring colleges and ask, do you have students with disability support program? And also apply to DVRS, the Division of Vocational and Vocational Rehabilitation Services. Did I write it right? Division of Vocational and Rehabilitation Services. Now, some parents are put off because they go down there and they say, my child's not a veteran. You know, my child's not a grown old man or old woman. Well, they serve everyone here, Division of Vocational Rehabilitation Services. What happens is when your child's in 11th or 12th grade, you apply, and what can you get? They will do assessments, formal assessments, psychological, educational. They'll find out what your child's potential is. They will help your child to apply to post-secondary educational or vocational programs. They will help purchase the supplies. If you're local, they'll give you a bus pass or a train pass so your child can commute to and from. They will help you and your child all the way through graduation of whatever program. So if your child is an academic and they're going to go get a PhD, they're going to support your child all the way through the PhD program in these ways. Transportation, supplies, books. You just got to be in it to win it, y'all. And so if your child's an athlete, which Matt and his organization, Omega Psy Phi, also often discuss the black male athlete. If your child's looking like he's going to be a star, or at least he's going to get some type of scholarship to college because he can ball, then you want to start that discussion with those recruiters. So when the recruiters are talking to you, you'll say, well, what support services do you have at your school? And if they say, that's not the school. So let's go to the Rutgers support page really quickly to show you that most notable schools will have the Office of Disability Services. And they're going to tell you about their office. And what do they offer? They offer everything your IEP offers. I'm going to just go leave that real quick, because just to give you a story, one of my previous students was a basketball star. She was a superstar from elementary school. When she came, there was a big thunder when she got to the school as a freshman, and she did not disappoint. She was a star every single year. So by 12th grade, St. John's University wanted her badly. Do you know St. John's called me up? I was her case manager. And they said, can we please have a discussion? I had to make a meeting with them, and we co-authored her 12th grade IEP so that it would fit for college. Hello? So this girl had problems with comprehension. And so she had scribes, she had readers, she had an extra person, almost like a para in college to help her through. And she did graduate, right? That can be your child. So here's the end of it. Here are the resources. You'll have the code on special education. I showed you how to use it. I want to recommend the movie Crip Camp. So it will pull this whole thing together. It's on Netflix, Crip Camp. Write that down. Crip Camp is a history of the special education laws in the United States. There were a group of disabled kids who went to a camp in the 60s. Most parents would put their kids in asylums or put them away for the slightest thing. But this group of parents sent their kids to this camp upstate New York. These kids learned how to help each other in many ways. And after about 2 or 3 years, they became advocates, and they started going to the state houses and sitting in. They went to the United States Capitol and sat in until they got laws passed. So it's because of this group of young people who were in wheelchairs, needed their diapers changed, needed to be fed, and people came and volunteered in big U-Haul trucks to help them through these couple of years that they fought very hard all over the country to get laws passed. These kids did it. And this documentary is their actual footage that they kept and preserved. It's a wonderful movie. If your child has an IEP, if you're interested in IEP services, you must see this movie. And then here's the link for the New Jersey Division of Vocational Rehabilitation Services. Remember, inquire around 11th grade. And thank you for this opportunity to share the IEP process and benefits with you. You can find me on Facebook at Project Love, L.O.V.E. or on LinkedIn at Love M. Gaillard, MSW, or my email address is here, lovemgaillardmsw@gmail.com. Special thanks to Matt and Omega Psy Phi and Uplift. Thank you. I'm going to stop sharing so Matt can close us out. And if you have any questions.
Great. We'll be sharing all of this information on our website and on our Facebook page. I took pictures of all of the slides. And so particularly the resource slide that we'll have. If there's any parent who wants to, let me share my face while I'm talking. That's real rude. I apologize. If there's any parent who would like to receive a direct email from me, I'm going to put my email address in the chat. Just want to kind of hear from some of you what you thought about tonight before we close out. Is there anyone who would like to kind of give us an idea of what they thought about tonight, or what we should do the next time?
Hi, my name is Tony. This was such great information. I actually work for a state VR agency. I'm in New York, so I work with Access VR. So I'm very familiar with, the IEP, how it transfers over. And I just wish that more people, like, we're connected to high schools and stuff, that they would actually apply for services, because it is such a great opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
And the help, the services that you get, is really, really good. Trainings and help with college and just, with job search. So this information has been very helpful, and the way you broke it down, it connects. And a lot of things, like you said, we're limited. So we didn't know that certain things have to be done, but thank you. I'm
You're
gonna
very
share.
welcome. Oh, you're very, I'm glad you got it. You're very welcome.
Great. Ma'am, what was your name?
My name is Tony
Tony what?
Knight,
Tony Knight, and you, with a K, K-N-I-G-H-T?
Knight, yes.
And where you from, Miss Knight?
I'm in Brooklyn. I work with Access VR. It's a VR agency.
Okay, we just needed that name. Sometimes when we try to put these things in our national magazine, and we always
Okay.
have to tell who the parent is and where they're from. So
No
from
problem.
that perspective. So
I'm in
thank you.
Brooklyn.
Thank you very much. All right, any other thoughts, comments, concerns?
Good evening, all.
Well,
I'm sorry, ladies first. Ms. Hughes, go ahead.
I just wanted to say, if for some parents who need more assistance from their individual schools, I'm not sure about the other states, but I know here in Maryland with the NAACP, I'm a representative at my son's school. So this is very valuable information that I can also take into that meeting, which is happening tomorrow night as well. There's a lot of advocating for our children in the schools, and some of the schools don't even know, the parents, they don't even know that they could get that same information, which was just relayed tonight. And things, more detail about the codes is very, it's needed, and how to get prepared when going into these meetings. So if you're still needing more assistance, definitely reach out to your counselor or NAACP rep, see if someone's representing your school that you can talk to on Zoom.
Awesome, thank you. I didn't even think about the NAACP. For sure, if they don't have it, they will find it because they're supposed to, right?
Through the county. Your
That's
county.
right. That's right.
Ma'am,
Thank you.
Ma'am, could you tell me your name and where you're from?
Tanya, Tony Hughes, H is in Henry, Ughes, and I'm in Maryland.
Got it. Okay, brother, you had some comments?
Troy Bowers. I'm an educator and aspiring leader. I did come in a little bit late to the meeting, but it was very, very informative. I have sat in on IEP meetings and 504 meetings as an educator, but I didn't know it was that many peripherals and that many services, and that was very, very good to hear. And I will take this information back to my colleagues and share. It's very, very important that we destigmatize these here labels that they put on our children. And like you said, if you do it the right way and you document and you support and you advocate for your child, they can have to roll out the red carpet for you. So very good information, Ms. Love. Thank you for sharing.
You're very welcome. That's right, the red carpet. I call it the souffle of services.
Gotcha. Mr. Bowers, where are you from? Mr. Bowers? You're on.
I teach in the Irvington Public School System, sir, and I am a man of Omega.
Brew?
Brew.
All right. Well, Brother Bowers, we and it's B-O-W-E-R-S?
That's correct.
Okay, got it. All right. So we're coming to a close. I wanted to just open up if anybody else has anything else that they'd like to say. I give you an opportunity to say it, and then I have two things I wanted to share. So I'll give a second. Does anybody have anything that they'd like to say? You could just unmute yourself. Okay, well, hearing none, I wanted to share with you an exact resource that we have with the Omega Psy Phi fraternity. Can everyone see this? Can you see this, Love?
Yes, it's up.
Okay, great. So this is our mentor program that we offer. We meet every other Saturday. We have, right now, the program is virtual. So boys from anywhere in the world can participate. We service boys from age is 11 to 18 years old. And our focus is every other Saturday. We participate in a variety of different things. This last Saturday, we had a video game tournament where one boy from Silver Springs, Maryland won, and another boy from Edison, New Jersey won. We had 80 kids involved in a 10-hour tournament where we kept the boys actively involved, having fun, and meeting boys from other parts of the world that they've never been in. This Saturday coming up, we have an activity. I'm going to put it the link in the chat, but I also put the link in the chat for the web page, so you can go directly there and register your son. The program is 100% free. We do not charge parents to participate. This Saturday, we have a young man who is a music producer, and he's going to be talking to kids who want to enter the music industry. He's written and produced songs for Jay-Z, Common, Mary J. Blige, John Legend, and about 100 other artists. He's doing really, really well, and he's going to be talking to kids about how to enter the music industry from any perspective. If you want to be a lawyer, if you want to be a songwriter, if you want to be an artist, if you want to be the light guy, he's going to be talking to kids about that because he's actually doing it. Then lastly, for 15 to 18-year-olds, we're strongly committed to helping them to get summer jobs. So if a young man comes to all 4 of our sessions, we're going to work with him to get a summer job. And we'll work with young ladies as well, between the ages of 15 and 18 years old. The sessions are all online and they're all engaging. So wanted to end with one last thing. As indicated, all of our programming is free. Tonight was free. We have a grant that we pay our speakers to come through, but the majority of things that we do out of our dues. And so what we're offering now is a raffle, and we're asking parents to consider purchasing a $20 ticket to support our programming. The $20 ticket, the first prize, believe it or not, is $15,000. There's 3 first prizes.
Whoa.
Second prize is $500, and third prize is $250. So for a $20 investment in our program, you get the chance to win all 3 things. And the information is in the chat. So we would ask that you please consider sponsoring us by purchasing a raffle ticket. And with that said, I'm going to close out. Is there any other questions, comments, or concerns?
This has been awesome. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Brother Bauer. We meet every other the 3rd Friday. I'm not sure what chapter you're in, but we'd love to have you come out and support the bros of I.D.E.A. Pi. Where are you from?
Rolando, Spring 16.
Okay, great. You still involved?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Financial, on international and local chapters.
Okay.
Absolutely, brother. Well, we're doing a lot of good stuff, man. Please spread the word with the bros with Rolando Lambda about what we're doing, looking to partner with those brothers in a variety of different things. And you're always welcome to come chill with the bros in East Orange, the Community Q. So, Love, wow, you knocked it out the box. It's like the computer is smoking right now with all the information that you provided. I want to just close out, give my boss list an opportunity to thank everybody, and then we'll close out from there. I'm not sure if he's on and available to speak because I know he's doing another Zoom, so I'll give him a second.
Just give me a second. I'm sorry, guys. I'm on 2 calls at once. I'm up to present in about 2 minutes. Just wanted to say, Love, you were amazing. I got an earplug in here, and I was listening to that one. My computer speed is on fire right now. A lot of good information. Thank you for all of the resources that you share with us. I hope that everyone who attended this evening got something from it. Like Matt said, this session is recorded. If you want some more other information, Matt can send that out to you via email. This is just part of a series of programs that we're doing for mothers. So look out for future programming. You'll probably be receiving communication from Matt via email in regards to this. So, and let us know what are some of your concerns, what are some of the issues that you want to talk about in a setting like this, and we'll try to provide that to you. But once again, thank you, Love, for an amazing program. We will be talking again for sure.
Good. I had a great time.
Everyone
Thank you
stay
for,
warm and enjoy the rest of your week.
okay, thank you everyone for having me.
Great. Everybody, thanks so much for coming out today. My email address is in the chat. It's matt.stevens1@me.com. And our website is IDEAPichapter.org. That's in the chat as well. We appreciate any raffle tickets that you're able to buy. At the end of the day, just keep us in your prayers. And we look forward to working with you guys moving forward. So with that, everybody have a blessed night. And I'll stay on just for a couple of minutes if anybody has anything they want to say.
I'll stay.
Okay. Love, you knocked it out.
Thank you so much. I can talk about this all day like the shrimping business. I can talk about this all day long.
Not the shrimping business.
Yes, Miss Hughes.
I did get the information. Just quickly to you, the codes that the teacher